Welcome to Insights into Insurance with Tom Sorensen of Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is educational in nature and not intended to be acted upon without first consulting the appropriately licensed professional.
Welcome on into Insights into Insurance here on this Saturday morning. Sitting next to me, Tom Sorensen from Americana Insurance. Tom, how you doing?
Well, great, Paul. How about you?
I'm doing very, very well. And if it's all right with you, we're going to jump right in because I know we have some introductions still to do.
Yeah, and we got a lot to talk about.
All right, Tom. So the listener email. Hello, Tom. I'm an avid listener every Saturday morning to your show. I'm also a local farmer and have been hearing a lot of rumors about crop insurance in the upcoming 2018 Farm Bill. Can you explain the outlook on crop insurance? Also, has there been any update on Obamacare? Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin, again, what an excellent email that we get from our listeners. I have got a special guest, as everybody knows. A lot of times I bring in special guests when I have certain emails, and I've got I'm going to introduce you to Jen McPhillips. Jen, are we finding you in Washington, D.C.?
You are.
Well, you bet. And Jen, without further ado, why don't you tell us who you are, who you work for, why are you on this program today answering this email?
Sure. My name is Jen McPhillips, and I'm the Vice President of Federal Government Affairs for the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers of America. We are a trade association based here in Washington, D.C. We represent 250,000 insurance agents from across the country, and we are made up of 50 state chapters. So there are the Independent Insurance Agents of Minnesota, which are a wonderful group of folks that we often come to for help on a number of issues, a great resource for us. And they make a yearly pilgrimage to Capitol Hill to lobby on issues that are important to our membership as a whole and to your state. And, crop insurance and the Farm Bill is one of those top issues.
Oh, well, great. And that was perfect. I'm glad that you told everybody that. That was a lot to tell everybody. So with that said, what is the current makeup of the Senate and the House, and how many seats are currently in play for the 2018 election?
Sure. So just big picture, we'll go a little bit, talk about the 2016 election results first. So as you all know, Trump won the Electoral College. That was by a vote of 306 to 232, and you need 270 Electoral College votes to win. He won the college by carrying really important swing states like Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio. And he converted traditionally Democratic, what we often refer to as Rust Belt states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin that had traditionally gone for Democrats in the past. In the Senate, Democrats gained 2 seats in Illinois and New Hampshire, and they cut the Republican majority by 2. So the makeup of the Senate now stands at 52 Republicans and 48 Democrats. Important to note, in 2018, Democrats are going to be up defending 25 seats and 10 seats in states that Trump carried. So they have an uphill battle to take back the Senate. The Republicans will defend 9 seats, but there's only 1 seat in a state that Clinton carried, and that is in Nevada. The House makeup, after the election last year, Democrats gained 6 seats, meaning they cut the Republican majority by 24 seats. So the makeup in the House now stands at 241 Republicans to 194 Democrats. So they're, assuming that those remain the same in their respective party, Republicans, with this 24-seat margin, have a fairly comfortable cushion. But as we all know, midterm elections are often dicey for the party in power. And so it's often normal to see the incumbent party lose a chunk of seats during the midterm election, but it's just so early right now. It's really too hard to say what's going to happen in 2 years, but a lot has happened already, so who really knows at this point?
Yeah, understandable. So obviously we call your group the Big I, and the legislative issues in the Big I, the national level, what are the top priorities that you guys are looking at?
Well, as we mentioned at the top of the show, protecting the federal crop insurance program in the next Farm Bill reauthorization is a top issue for us. We have really strong grassroots. We were successful in the 2014 Farm Bill in staving off cuts to the federal crop insurance program, and I'll go into more detail with that in a moment. So that is a top priority for us. Additionally, reauthorizing the National Flood Insurance Program. That program is set to expire on September 30th, 2017 is a top priority. And addressing issues with healthcare and taxes are all going to be on top priorities. Anything that really impacts small business day to day is a top priority for us.
Oh, well, great. And then what's the state of play with the federal crop insurance program as we sit?
Well, that's a great question, and something that, really timely. I'm sure many of you listening in have heard that Trump proposed his fiscal year 2018 budget yesterday.
Yes.
And, there are a lot of changes in that budget. I preface this with saying that budget proposals really get enacted exactly as they are proposed, but they often do act as a blueprint for the administration's priorities. So when you take a look at what he had proposed for the agriculture community and specifically for crop insurance, he proposed pretty deep cuts, about $28 billion in cuts to the federal crop insurance program over a period from 2018 to 2027. And in that proposal, they have similar provisions to some of the attacks that we have seen on the federal crop insurance program in past farm bills. For example, the budget sets premium assistance caps at $40,000, so an adjusted gross income limit, and that is supposedly meant to save $16 billion over 10 years. As you know, our association strongly opposes any cuts or caps on premium assistance that farmers can get to purchase adequate coverage for their crop insurance. We led the charge in opposing these sorts of caps in the last farm bill. We're opposed to it in the budget, and if this is brought up during the next farm bill fight, we will once again be opposed to it. It also calls for the elimination of the harvest price option, and it also calls for a limit on crop insurance subsidies for anyone making $500,000 or more. And I think when you take a look at limiting farms' ability to purchase adequate coverage for their crop insurance, when folks start buying down coverage, you're changing the risk pool for farmers across the entire country. So while, in thought they may be thinking that they are just hitting the highest earning farmers or the farmers with the most expensive crops, when you dramatically change the risk pool, you're also changing the premiums for the smaller farmers and hurting them as well. So, the Big I's been a leader in opposing these cuts when they were standalone bills. We issued a statement with our concern with the budget, and, we are definitely on top of this. Preserving the federal crop insurance program and the role that agents play is top priority for us.
Okay. Right now we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and see what the farmers can do to help get their voice heard about crop insurance, and also we'll get back and talk more about, what we call Obamacare.
When your line starts singing and you're positive you've hooked into a big one, but sometimes everything stops. Suddenly, it's a sad story about the one that got away. Crops can be like that too. You put in all the work, but there's always a chance nature might try and take it away. At Americana, we help farmers find the best crop insurance options to protect against loss from hail, excess moisture, drought, wind, and fire. So put Americana in your tackle box. Americana Insurance. We're the A-Team. AmericanaInsurance.com.
Back here on Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance's Tom Sorensen. And Tom, you are being joined on the phone by none other than the Big I themselves. Jen is joining us on the phone. And Tom, we'll let you get back into it.
Yeah, and I just hope that people understand Jen is coming from Washington, D.C. with us. I just want to say thank you for taking your time out of your day to talk to me, because I know you are one busy girl. Jen, we're coming up against the 2018 Farm Bill, and I can't believe that, because it seems like the 2014 one just passed. Anyway, but what can the farmer do to get involved to help get their voice heard?
Well, I think first and foremost, as I just mentioned, the federal crop insurance program is likely going to face some similar attacks to its budget, to the program as a whole, as we have in the past. So having farmers and agents and anyone involved in this program having their voice heard in Washington is key. And that involves simply, calling your member of Congress and letting them know how these proposals will impact you day to day. It is critical for members of Congress to understand what they're doing in Washington, D.C., and how that translates back at home. The Big I is known for its strong grassroots. There is something that we want our agents to make known on the Hill. We will send out action alerts. Often these come from the Big I of Minnesota. We'll draft something, have them go out, have these talking points go out to agents, and we ask that agents and farmers call your members of Congress and have your voice heard. I can't tell you how effective that is in helping members understand, and having what members of Congress doing in D.C. translate back at home. So grassroots is key. We have some, wonderful members from Minnesota that have been very supportive of the federal crop insurance program. Specifically Congressman Colin Peterson has been a great ally of ours, and so it's just important to continue to hit home on how important crop insurance is, and how cutting the program will impact small businesses and will impact farmers, and how this program drives the economy, especially in rural America.
Yeah, that's one thing that people need to understand, and I deal with a lot of people from the Twin Cities because my son plays soccer in a team up there, but they just have no idea, even though that they're in the big city. Rural America is key to the economic engine, and they are part of it, but they just don't even realize it. And so I want to say thank you to the farmers for that. And so, yes, please get your voice heard. So further, what does the president's budget mean for the Affordable Care Act, and what's the top priority for the Trump administration on that?
Well, I think, ACA as a whole, he ran on this notion of repeal and replace. And so earlier this year, as many of you heard, House Republicans drafted legislation that would effectively have begun the process of repealing the ACA. I think you guys will remember the end of April, the House passed the American Health Care Act by a vote of 217 to 213. So basically strictly along party lines, and this bill attempts to repeal a majority of the provisions in the ACA, including some of the subsidy structures, the individual and employer mandate, and various taxes. This bill does a lot of things. It modifies the way that Medicaid is delivered, encourages the greater use of health savings accounts. But, in a win for the Big I, the legislation did not impact the current tax exclusion on employer-sponsored benefits. We are big supporters of the employer-sponsored health care. And further, it delayed the Cadillac tax until 2026. So that was, something that we, those are two issues that we feel strongly about. But, we have not taken a formal position on this bill. Because there's, it's a big bill. There's some things in there that could be positive and some things that could be negative. But, right now we have not taken a position on it. Just a little bit of background on the often referred to as the Cadillac tax. And this tax has been an issue for a while now. And what it is exactly is it's a 40% tax on the cost of employer-sponsored health coverage that exceeds certain thresholds. Right now, it's estimated to be at $10,800 for individuals and $29,100 for families. And so it would be a 40% tax on anything above that limit. And so that is, a concern that we have because it does strike at the heart of employer-sponsored health care.
Yeah, that definitely is a big chunk. And so... So your stance with the Big I right now is kind of wait and see. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. I think that, right now this bill has passed the House. It is unclear what the Senate is going to do, if they're going to, I think they're trying to draft their own version as well. Are they going to meld these two together? Are they too far apart to come to consensus? I think on the ACA, while it is, it was such a big issue leading up into the election, at this point, it's up in the air. TBD remains to be seen on how this all plays out here, because it just, it impacts every person so differently. And so I think, it's going to be a challenge to come to a consensus and figure out how Congress is going to navigate all these important issues.
So who would you recommend for our listeners, farmers and anybody, regarding the Obamacare, Affordable Care Act is what I should say. Who should they get a hold of? Should they be getting a hold of local politicians, or who should they be getting a hold of?
I think both. I think addressing this at the local and the federal level is important. Making members of Congress aware and understand how their health care impacts them daily, things that are working, things that are not working. And I think that's important. You're hearing now on the news all these town halls that are happening, whereas some sleepy town halls may have had 5 or 10 people. Now there are hundreds of people are showing up to make their voice heard, and that is very impactful. Like any issue that we advocate on here in D.C., our biggest resource are the folks back home, are you guys on the ground, because this is who it impacts most. So I can't say enough about grassroots being active, especially about issues that impact you day to day.
Okay. Well, Jen, it has been a pleasure to have you as our guest today. I am honored to have you. And in closing, if anybody needs to contact me about crop insurance or the health insurance or flood insurance, I know we mentioned that earlier, you can call our office at 507-377-2000, or they can email me if they want to email about the show at insights@americanainsurance.com.
You've been listening to Insights into Insurance from Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is intended to be educational in nature. Before acting upon any information obtained during the Insights into Insurance radio show broadcast, consult an appropriately licensed professional.